Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the very first episode of Journey of the Heart, a podcast dedicated to reflection, faith, and the inner path we walk in search of meaning. I'm your host, and in this opening episode, I want to share a little about who I am, and more importantly, what inspired me to start this podcast. This space was born out of a deep yearning, a desire to slow down, to reflect, and to reconnect with what truly matters. Like many of you, I have walked through seasons of doubt, moments of awe, and everything in between. Along the way, I have found that it's often in stillness and in honest conversation, in remembrance that the heart begins to heal and awaken. This podcast is my attempt to create a space for that, for stories that nourish our soul, for reflection that anchor us, and for reminders that we are never truly alone on this journey. So whether you're listening during a quiet morning or driving through the rush of life, I invite you to walk with me, heart to heart, through the beauty, the struggle, and the sacred unfolding of this journey we all share. So let's begin. I was born in Bangladesh around 2 years old when my family moved to Qatar. That's where my early childhood unfolded. Some of my first memories are filled with the sound of the azan echoing through the streets and the quiet strength of the Bedouin fishermen, the native people of Qatar, who lived with simplicity, purpose, and grace. Life there had a rhythm rooted in tradition and faith. The sea, the sand, the call to prayer, all of it shaped my earliest understanding of the world. Then, when I was 9, everything changed. We immigrated again, this time to Canada, settling in Montreal. And what followed was a deep sense of dislocation. It felt like stepping into a completely different reality, one I wasn't prepared for. Looking back, I see that move as the beginning of a chapter filled with confusion, challenge, and eventually growth. But in Qatar, I had been surrounded by a community that had reflected my identity, where our customs, our language, and our faith were woven into the daily life. But in Canada, I felt like a stranger overnight. I didn't speak French. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't fully connect with the people around me at the beginning. School was tough. I was placed into a public school system where I struggled to catch up linguistically and socially. Everything was unfamiliar at that time, whether it was holidays like Halloween, Christmas, Easter, or simply how casually students interacted with their teachers. Back home, it was very different. Teachers were always addressed with formality and respect. I remember the very first time I had to call the teacher by her name. It was strange to me. It was uncomfortable, to be honest. The rules felt different. At home, there was little guidance for navigating this new culture, this new place. My parents were trying to adjust too, coming from a somewhat conservative Indo-Pakistani background. They had their own challenges. The generational and cultural gap between us often made it hard to connect. So I had to figure things out on my own, what to hold on to and what not to, how to walk the line between the two cultures that seem very often different and contradictory to each other in many cases. On top of all that, we struggled financially. Not long after we arrived, my dad who was a mechanical engineer. He had first found something in his field, but not too long after got into a serious car accident, and from that shock and physically took him a while, many years, to return back, recover somewhat. And during that time, I started working at the age of 13. I was very young, to basically support my own needs. Growing up academically, I faced many setbacks, one after another. I didn't graduate high school as the rest of my friends. I had to complete high school through adult education. Even then, I never felt like the smart kid, but I held on to one dream, becoming an engineer. I always wanted to be. That dream kept me going. Eventually got into college, though I struggled there too. Faced academic probation, dropped out for a time, worked for a while, then tried again at university. There were also moments I thought I'd never make it, but I had the support of my family, especially my older sister who believed in me even when I didn't. She pushed me, reminded me of who I was, and helped me stay the course. And by the mercy of Allah, I made it. It's a long journey. I graduated in aerospace engineering, alhamdulillah. But beyond all that, the academic journey, there was something deeper I was carrying. Questions about life, identity, and faith. During my teenage years, there was a time where I drifted away from religion. The Islam I had been exposed to growing up often felt very rigid, focused more on rules, obligation, do's and don't, the outward appearance that more than the inner spirit of the faith. It felt distant from the heart. Over time I drifted, I questioned, I pushed back, disconnected with the mosque, the people, the community. But even at that distance, I carried a quiet sense that something was missing, something deeper, more real, more lasting. Much later, alhamdulillah, Allah in His mercy brought me back. The turning point came very unexpectedly. Through a simple act of sharing, my brother-in-law, he had sent me a video of Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. I clicked on it without much thought, but from then on something shifted. His words were filled with wisdom, knowledge, beauty, and compassion. It was the first time I truly experienced Islam as something luminous and wise, a path not just for rules, but meaning, love, and inner transformation. It was the deeper truth of Islam my soul had been longing for, one that I hadn't known how to reach until then. That moment lit a spark in me. I began to seek knowledge more seriously. Onward. In 2015, I attended the very first RS convention in Toronto and had the chance to attend Sheikh Hamza's lecture in person. That lecture was very unique. Something hard to explain, transformative. A few years later, in 2019, I traveled back to attend the Knowledge Retreat, which takes place after RIS, a life-changing experience where I sat at the feet of scholars like Imam Zaid Shakir, Sheikh Yahya Rodas, Sheikh Ninaway, and of course Sheikh Hamza. Those gatherings weren't just about learning. They were more about being reminded of who we are, why we're here, and how faith can shape the soul from the inside out. Since then, my journey has taken a more inward turn. I began exploring the spiritual heart of Islam through the Sufi tradition, drawn by its emphasis on presence, remembrance, and true sincerity. For years, I sat with various teachers, sheikhs, seeking a guide whose presence and wisdom resonated with the needs of my heart. It wasn't immediate, but many years down the line, I found that connection through a teacher on the Naqshbandi path, my sheikh. That relationship became a source of grounding and growth. Through the practices of the path, zikr, companionship, reflection, I have come to see faith not as a checklist, but as a living journey, one that calls you to return again and again and again to your Lord with humility, gratitude, and love, no matter who you are, where you are, what you have done. And that brings me here to this podcast. Journey of the Heart is not about having perfect answers or polished conclusions. It's about being honest with the struggles, asking the deeper questions, and sharing the moments of light we find along the way. It's a space to reflect, to reconnect, and to grow together wherever you are on your journey. You are welcome here. This brings us to this end of this episode. I thank you for being here, for walking with me on this journey of the heart. I pray that this reflection bring light to your path, clarity to your mind, and true peace to your soul. May Allah surround you with His mercy, strengthen you with His love, and guide your heart even closer to Him. Until next time, take care of your heart, hold on to hope, and remember, every step taken with sincerity is a step toward nearness. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Forgive me and have mercy upon me, and guide me and pardon